But I'm thinking that I'm speaking here when others would be better to be speaking on this platform at this moment. The most lion-hearted people that we know, currently locked up in prison. But also those who've been released from prison, but are subject to the most Orwellian license conditions that ban them from associating with anyone who's ever taken a stand for life on Earth, or anyone who's ever associated with someone who's taken a stand for life on Earth. Because what might happen if people like that got together? What a 3 years it's been. And there's no way of doing justice to it all in a few minutes, other than running through a few personal memories and snapshots, and we're all going to have different memories. But starting on Valentine's Day, 14th of February 2022, the letter of love for our country from Hannah and Louis to Boris Johnson, demanding an end to new oil and gas licenses. Louis locking onto a goalpost, Everton against Newcastle. Phoebe and Anna, the soup on the sunflowers. Marcus and Morgan scaling the QE2 with their brilliant daring. Louise, who I can see in front of me, that video up on the gantry, none of us will ever forget it. Sue Parfitt, Reverend Parfitt and Judith, taking their hammer to the casement of the Magna Carta in the British Library. The trial of the Whole Truth Five, Cressy, Lucia, Lou, Roger, Daniel, refusing to leave the witness box until they'd been allowed to honour their oath to the jury to tell the whole truth, and when the judge wouldn't let them do it, he sent them down to the cells. That display of defiance, commitment to the truth, I've never seen anything like it. It was awesome. And then on the 24th of July, just a week after they had been sentenced to 4 and 5 years, the Manchester 5, the Heathrow 10, knowing those had been the sentences, heading for the airports with their angle grinders. What kind of courage and defiance is that? And then 27th of September, as Phoebe and Anna are sentenced for 2 years, just an hour later, the 3 people re-souping the sunflowers. And the trial of the Heathrow 10 at Isleworth over 7 weeks. What grace under pressure if our courts are meant to be communicating some kind of sanction or shame on unacceptable behaviours. It was obvious to everyone in that courtroom what we were seeing was the very best of humanity and grace under pressure. Everyone will have their own memories, and it isn't just the actions. For a lot of us, it's even more the sense of community, the radical trust, the comfort and solace of just being with people who get it. And let's remember why those people did what they did. Not for kicks, not for better pay or less tax, but because the oil companies who have known for decades that pumping vast quantities of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere is poisoning life on Earth and going to kill billions of people, have conducted systematic disinformation campaigns so that they can keep doing it anyway to preserve their vast profits for a while longer. That's why people of conscience have been giving up their freedom to expose the ultimate crimes against humanity and life on Earth. And for all those blinkered and deluded people who claim that Just Stop Oil has undermined its own cause, what can we do other than ask them quietly, do you really not understand that this is your cause too? Do you not see what's happening? Do you really think the problem lies with the ordinary people trying to expose the deadly corruption and lies of the fossil fuel industry? But those memories are sort of personal. That connection is subjective. How do we try and assess the legacy of Just Stop Oil, as we're all trying to do, as everybody's trying to do in the media? Do we think of it in terms of its impacts on government policy? Because it's true, on the face of it, Just Stop Oil sets out to stop new oil and gas licenses, and it succeeds. And there's no real doubt about that causation. Those gantry's actions are November 22, and it's just a few months after that that Keir Starmer, in opposition, says, when I come to power, it will be no new oil and gas licenses. The causation is just as clear as when Extinction Rebellion demands a declaration of emergency in April 2019. 2 weeks later, that's what we get, and the same for net zero. There's no doubt these tactics are effective. In terms of revealing the violence of the state, or the sham trials we've seen in these buildings, the wild, disproportionate sentences. Yeah, I mean, succeeded in showing the violence of the state, you can say that. But let's also be honest about something else. If we're looking at the impact on government policy and the state of the world, things are not good. 1.5 is long gone. Global emissions are rising. The far right and fascism is rising. Horrific wars and genocide for land and resource. Global catastrophe appears locked in, and our leaders are desperately fighting economic fires by pouring more petrol and oil on the flames. To talk about succeeding in that context doesn't feel completely right. But it's just as wrong to say that Just Stop Oil failed. Just Stop Oil didn't fail. Addiction is a horrible thing. And if anyone has been in a relationship with an addict, you know you can't measure your own worth by the addiction of an addicted friend or partner. Their lies, their lashings out, their denial, their deteriorating health, it is not on you. That's the nature of addiction. If the addicted personality doesn't face up to what's happening and come clean for themselves, it only goes one way. All you can do is avoid being an enabler. Avoid covering up for it. Avoid being complicit in it. Keep holding up the mirror. And if our corrupted states can't break their addictions to oil and short-term economic growth, they will die. And maybe we go down with them, but maybe we don't. And that's the reality. It's already happening. And that's not on Just Stop Oil. That's not on anyone in active resistance. That's not on anyone unless they're an enabler. Our political and economic institutions remain hopelessly addicted to fossil-fueled growth. We can stage interventions, but we can't do more than that. The real legacy of Just Stop Oil can't be assessed against the policies of a failing and addicted state or a collapsing empire. Just Stop Oil's real legacy is something much more important. It's about showing us how to live well in these times of genocide in Gaza, ecocide, and the rising repression of the corporate state. Facing up to that reality without giving in to denial or fatalism or despair, the things that are the enablers of fascism. Living with courage and joy, togetherness and love, on the streets, in the dock, in the prisons, in solidarity with all those in prison. And most importantly, with the profound commitment to non-violence. Because as economies and support systems unravel, that's what we're most going to need. None of us can be sure how we will respond under extreme pressures that we haven't yet experienced in our lives. But principled non-violence is our guiding light. It's the only way we can be sure we will live well and die well through whatever is coming, so that life begins again. And of course, it's far too early to assess the full legacy of Just Stop Oil. Because what was the legacy of Insulate Britain? It was an incredible movement in itself. I think a lot of people still don't realise quite how few people were involved in that and quite how much trouble it caused. But without Insulate Britain, there was no Just Stop Oil. And it's only now that we can fully see the significance of that. So thank you to all of you, to every supporter of Just Stop Oil, to every supporter of Insulate Britain, whatever form that took, for showing us how to live well through these times. And thank you too for clearing the path for what comes next, because it's going to be good.